All right, so I'm going to talk to you guys about how we're tearing down. First off, if there's music playing, and right now there is some music playing, on the iPad, we want to fade that music out. You can actually start tearing down before the iPad's out, but just don't unplug the number 8, which goes from the PC here, or the speakers. But because everybody's out of here, we'll fade this out and hit the mute button. Everything should be muted on the board that you need that might make a noise to pop. So we want that done. Then we're going to take this remote control, the projector remote. Remember I said, in order to turn this off, you need to use the second button, the standby button, not the on button. We're going to have to hit it twice. This remote is still a pain in the butt. It always is a pain in the butt. So we got to come over here somewhere near the key, and I'm going to point up toward this cage, and you see that little menu popped up. If you didn't, it popped up and said press it again if you want it to turn off. That's how we get that off. At this point, we are safe to unplug almost everything. So on the computer here, I'm going to come over and stop the music in the tab. That's okay if you do that or not. I'm going to unplug the HDMI cable. It no longer is necessary. And I can unplug the computer itself. This little red guy is the remote control that, the receiver for the remote control that was being used. So we'll go grab this remote control receiver. And we'll take this off. Now, before you start unplugging cables from everywhere, there's a few that you want to know. So it's good to turn off your mains first once you're done using them. So before we start getting everything, so we're going to come over to this speaker. And I'm going to hit the power button here. So that's down here at the bottom. That speaker's now off. And at this point, I'm going to pull this speaker down. Now come over here, Alec, for a second. This little clutch is what we need to open. This kind of stops it, but this is a power-assisted stand. So I have to grab onto this, do this with the speaker on, and I'm going to pull it down, then lock it. At this point, I'm good. I can unplug this speaker cable, the microphone cable, and I can also unplug the power cable here. And we're doing pretty solid. At this point, I'm going to walk around and unplug everything from every end, from everywhere, and get it back into the places that it started from. But let me show you something on the board first. So here on the board, oh, you know what? Here, let's go to the mains. The mains are still on. I always turn off the power amps first. We'll turn some light on here. These power amps, they take a second, even though the lights are gone, they're actually still producing sound for a minute, and then you can turn off this glowy switch. Honestly, if you don't turn the switch off, it's fine. It'll be okay. I'm gonna unplug the chapel cable from that end. And then we do wanna make sure that we lock this using the same key that opens it, which is a small one on the keychain, because we're basically done with this thing already. So it's a little silver key. We're gonna come into here and we're gonna turn this thing until it latches, which I got that now. All right, come over here to the board. Anything on the right side, 1 through 8, and anything on the bottom, you can just unplug them. They're good to go. Nothing's gonna pop at this point. Everything's muted. And the first 2 on the left here, one goes to the input, they go to the mains, those are unplugged. Everything else, leave that there. The only other things on this end, you can unplug the speak-on cable, pull out on the silver and twist. Don't unplug the other ones. And then this one up here, which is the antenna. So now we're gonna unplug the other end of everything and the power from everything. And then I'll show you what's at the very end, how we put it back into the closet, because that's really all that matters. All right, we're gonna do a quick little video about teardown now. We've already torn down most of the stuff. Come close to me here for a second. I want you to understand, every single cable is wrapped and tied with one of these things and stuck onto one of these holders here. Only XLR cables, microphone style cables, go on the ones that are black. There's more than one of them, and there's extra cabling. On the green one, we have 1/4-inch cables. There's a couple of cables that are adapter cables where it's XLR on one end and 1/4-inch on the other. And then this one that we use for the antenna for the inner monitors, that one I try to put it on one of the ends so it's easy to find, but I've got tape wrapped around it as well. These guys here, the speak-on cables for the monitors, we wrap them up, but we put them in. It is so important, guys. I can't stress this enough. You have to wrap them up every time and secure them. When you just put a pile of cable in here, I guarantee you it's going to get tangled. And every time when I'm setting up or tearing down, if I see a knot or a twist in it, I get it out and I put it back. It makes everyone's life easier. You'd think it wouldn't make a difference, but it's just a small thing and it will blow up on you. I guarantee you. So every time, make it right. Come around here, we're going to just take a real quick run through power, stage box, and cable. So in here we have both the giant yellow cable at the moment, and we have that black one if you were using that black one that has the outlets spaced out. And this is for the gym or for an SQ unit if you guys end up with an SQ unit. So I can close that and I can lock that if I want to. I'm not locking this one at the moment because the magnet does a pretty good job of holding it. All the mics and the iPad came back in here. Apparently the iPad screen is still on. Because we have a chapel later this week, I'm not taking these away, but otherwise I'd have to take all the batteries out of all these up to the Yokum and charge them, and then bring this iPad back and charge it. When you're putting it away, you have to charge it because the next person won't have it charged if you didn't do it. And there won't be enough time for it. So in that's drawer 1, drawer 2, all of our wired mics or in-ear body packs. The direct boxes are in here, and look at how they fit. It's very nice. So we've got this base one here. We've got the 2 regular ones and a stereo direct box here. They're all there in the choir mics. I put the choir mics here. I'm going to take one of them out to give back to the theater right now. But there are 2 to 3 of them should be in here, and all the cabling and accessories stay in there. Anything else, headphones or accessories would go in there. And then I'm going to take my key, the small silver key, and lock this. Now we're going to talk about the keyboard for a second. I'm going to pull the stand up out. These pins came out from that spot. And then in the top drawer, I am going to undo the top bag here. I'm going to put the power cable inside one of these pockets. I'm going to put the damper pedal, which I don't wrap this around the pedal. To each their own, but I would say it's better for the cable if you don't do that. In another one. And then this thing, I'm setting in here all the way up against the edge. It almost looks like it doesn't fit, but it will, I promise you. If you put it in, you can zip this whole thing up. The next thing I'm going to do is flip this all the way open. And there's Velcro that's actually keeping it from coming down at the moment. Open up the flaps, grab the keyboard. We're going to put it down. I like to put the keys toward the more padded area. It would be okay either way. I put that in and we're going to close it down. This goes back to the choir room. You get a bonus video. I've already done a video on this, but just as a reminder on how this keyboard stand works, we're going to pick these up. We just pick them up at an angle and then the hooks slide out, open up the top. It's like matching up the shape, like when you were a kid with the blocks, and we're going to put them in there and latch this closed, make sure it clicks. I'm gonna grab a handle, flip it upside down. I'm gonna push these handles up, and then the silver, I want the first silver end to go in all the way and the top one to be up. That's the button to release it. So all the way here, pick up the edge. You might have to kind of use a little force for it. And then this is done. Now come for a walk with me into the room. Breathing too heavy right now. So this is going to end up sitting right here, which we'll do in a second after we get everything else in, if I remember. But take a look at what we've got at the moment. Couple power cords, if you used an extra power cord, are hanging here. There's nothing in this space. All of the microphone stands and the blade and the choir mics and everything is all the way shoved against here so we can start to assemble this. So we're going to start with this cart. And this cart, I'm going to put a hand on this as I go. I want to have the handle. I'm going to push the handle. And then I'm going to come and take a very good angle. There's a ledge here when you come over the lip. You can put your foot on the edge of the cart if you need to, or just push it through. So I'm going to take an angle so it goes directly at that corner. So it's got to sit 100% on the back wall and against the side wall. That's perfectly in. And then as long as this is at a diagonal either direction, it's going to have room for the next cart. From here, I'm getting this cart with all of our stuff. Maybe sometime in the future there will be a rack. I'm going to take this one, once again, over the edge. I have a hand on the top thing. It's not attached. That goes all the way in. I want the handles to be the antennas to be off, but I want them facing the inside. And then I'm gonna grab this keyboard stand. I'm gonna set it inside and lean it against the corner like that. It's not gonna go anywhere. If you set it too close to the door can swing. That's actually everything that goes inside this cage. So I'm gonna close it. I'm gonna latch this. This is not lined at all. But if I take the hook up and through from the inside to the out, and then it'll sit like that, and I'm gonna master lock that one shut. And then the cart that we use for the computer, I'm gonna bring that one through. By the way, if you ever see a cable like this that's hanging on the floor, just put it on the top. I set this directly in front, so I've locked that. I've locked this. If we need to take the screen up, it's kind of depends, but the up button is right here, so I'll take that up. I've already turned the projector off. The light switch for the room is here. I can close this back. And then a 3 key is gonna lock this. If you have the chapel computer, it'll go back to the office or whoever's managing it at the time. I didn't lock that very well. Let's try again. You don't have to pull the basketball hoops down. They'll do that whenever they need them for a practice or gym class. Let's pretend like I know how to do this, which I don't at the moment, apparently. There, it's locked. This goes back toward the yokem room in the back by where the drum's at, the coat closet once it's locked. The keyboard goes back to the band room. The music stands go back to the hallway, or they may end up somewhere else in the future, but put them back where they go, and you're done.